Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here on Patriots 4th and 2, the new generation. It's a cloudy Wednesday afternoon here in summer in Massachusetts, and today I'm Brady Goldman along with Russ Goldman, and we're going to be talking about high or low on the defense. It'll be a great show, kind of similar to last time, but again, we're talking about the defense. It's good to have you, Russ. I'm excited to talk about the Patriots defense for the upcoming season.
It's good to talk to you too, Brady. By the way, there was a Goldman to start the show because I had the wrong banner up there. There we are. Me and you as the Patriots 4th and 2 logo. I actually had the Cottage Talk logo. That's not good, right,
Oh,
Brady?
no. That would be pretty bad.
That would be pretty bad. So, just like the last show, we did the Patriots skill positions on offense. Brady and I decided, you know what? We're going to pass, at least on this show, to talk about the offensive line. It is a little boring, Brady. I'm sure you would agree with me on that. So instead, we're going to go right to talking about the Patriots defense. We are going to talk about the players. Are you for them? Are you against them? High or low? And then rate them from 1 to 10, like we did in the last show. Last show was great. So I
Yeah.
look forward to doing this. We have a lot of new players, Brady, but we also have players that were part of the old regime. So I'm curious if you're going to be high or low on those players. Some interesting names up here. So let's just get going. By the way, we are live on my own X account. We're live on my Facebook account, Brady. We're also live on our YouTube channel. And as you see in the scroll, please do subscribe to the Patriots 4th and 2, the new generation YouTube channel. We have 3 people that have subscribed.
Yeah, we got one new subscriber from last time. Let's try to get to 5 by next show. That'll
That
be
would
pretty
be great.
exciting.
That would be fun. That'd be great. That'd be an improvement, Brady. All right. So we got a lot of players to get through. So let's start with number 1, and it's probably the most significant signing of free agency, Brady. Let's talk about a player from the Philadelphia Eagles who will be a major contributor to the defensive line. And the Patriots reportedly are going to be playing a 3-4 defense, but a different 3-4 defense than many remember because it's not going to be that style defense. It's going to be attacking style. And this player, I think, is going to play a huge role, Brady.
Yep.
High or low on Milton Williams, and give me a rating from 1 to 10 on him.
Yeah, so around an 8. When the Patriots brought him in, I was super excited. In fact, I knew somebody who is a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and they were devastated when they lost Milton Williams. People are saying that this was like the first big splash of the offseason, and I really think it is. Milton Williams brings the intensity that this Patriots defensive line did not have last year. He's big. He is scary. He's going to really disrupt a lot of pockets for a lot of QBs this year. And I just think he's one of the best up-and-coming defensive presences in the NFL. I'm so glad the Patriots got him. First big signing the Patriots have had really since 2021. And again, I'm super stoked to have him here. He's going to be a great presence for this new kind of defensive regime. I think he's going to be a perfect fit. And I see him as an 8. He's going to be great this season, Russ.
Okay, Brady. So the way I'm looking at it, I tend to agree with you. I think he's a very good fit because when you bring in a new style defense, you need a signature player to bring in. This is it. This is a player that it's funny because many didn't think they would get a player like Milton Williams. I don't care if they overpaid. I could care less about that. They need an attacking defensive lineman. They really haven't had that in a long time. So I'm all for this. I agree with you. I'm going to give it an 8. I'm high on this. And I think this is the player that Mike Vrabel and his defensive coordinator wanted to build around. So I agree with you, Brady. It's an 8 for me. So let's move on to another player. I'll get us going on Christian Barmore.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually put this, believe it or not, at an 8.5. I'm very high on him. I know his medical situation, but I think as long as he's medically cleared, I expect big things from Christian Barmore. He was basically on the cusp of being a dominant player, Brady.
Yeah.
You put him with Milton Williams, the two of them together, they're going to create havoc. So, like I said, 8.5. I'm very high on Christian Barmore. I know there are going to be some that might be in the Boston media, some of the fans that are going to say, well, we don't know what we're going to get.
Also
I know
character
if he's
concerns.
physically fit, well, I think the character concerns have been blown away because I think he's been a model citizen. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so for him, it's a 9. Remember, back in 2023, Christian Barmore in those last couple games in a Patriots defense that was pretty middle of the pack was one of the best defensive threats in football. He was a monster. I remember him against, I think, Denver on Christmas Eve. He had a couple sacks and I think a fumble, something like that. But he is going to be a defensive force with Milton Williams. He's going to just be amazing. I mean, you kind of hit all the points there with the two-headed monster. In fact, I think it's going to be one of the best two-headed monsters in the league on defense. And I'm pretty excited for a new era for the Patriots defense with him and Milton Williams leading it.
I totally agree, Brady. And I listen. I've already heard people doubting that the Patriots defense is going to be as good as some think. And I see what they already had with a very good defensive coordinator and obviously Mike Vrabel as the coach. I expect the Patriots defense to be dominant. I'm not talking top 10. I'm just saying there's going to be a significant change to what we're used to under Belichick and under Gerard Mayo. It's going to look very different. And I think we're all should be excited. And I think part of the reason why I'm so high on the Patriots defense are these two players. That's why I'm glad we're starting here because I think this is where you need to focus on these two guys. You're building around not just Milton Williams, but Barmore, a 1-2 punch that I think is going to be devastating. So I'm
Yep.
glad that we're going there. Okay, so now let's go a little bit still on the offense. On some, there's a Goldman on the defensive
On the
line.
defense, Russ.
Yes, yes. On the defense, what is wrong with me, Brady? But we could call these guys linebackers, or you can call them on the defensive line. Let's start with Harold Landry, Brady. Now, he's a player I remember from BC, a dominant player at
Yeah.
BC. Had a very nice career at Tennessee. And I see people already downgrading this. I'm not going to downgrade it, Brady. I'm going to be high on Harold Landry. Maybe not as much as the other two players, but I'm going to give him a solid 7. I'm high on him.
Yep, 7.5 for me. He's been in the league a bit. He's going to bring some good veteran presence to the Patriots defensive front. I was pretty stoked about this. This was, I believe, like the first Patriots free agent signing of the offseason. I remember when we got him, I was pretty happy with it overall because he's a good edge, and the Patriots didn't really have that last year, and he's going to be another really good piece to, I think, a pretty solid defense. I'm actually going to say that the Patriots defense is going to be top 10 this year, unlike you, just because of all the pieces that they added. Obviously, now Terrell Williams coming from the Detroit Lions, being the new defensive coordinator. I think, the Patriots, if they had a top 15 defense last year, they would have won at least maybe 3 or maybe even 4 games. But with these new additions and the regime change, I think the Patriots defense was going to surprise a lot of people, much like the Patriots offense.
Okay, very good there, Brady. Good stuff from you. Brady, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball to you. Now, there's a
Mm.
player that I don't know if you're that familiar with, but the Patriots still need a player that's going to be, say, a nose tackle. Here's your guy coming from the outside, Kyrie's Tonga. What are your thoughts about him?
Well, to be honest, I have very little thoughts on him. Honestly, this might be even the first time me hearing of this name. Um, yeah, I couldn't really give you a number, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine, Brady. Not a problem on Kyrie's Tonga. It's just we should be consistent and talk about players that have played the position of nose tackle. Listen, the
Hmm.
Patriots have had some very good nose tackles over the years. Vince Wilfork. I'm just
Wolford.
telling you, I would just watch this player during preseason when we're at camp, and maybe you'll get an impression of Kyrie's Tonga. I'm probably
Yeah,
saying that wrong.
hopefully he'll prove me wrong.
All right. Well, let's talk about another player that I think you're familiar with.
Oh
Keon
yeah,
White, high or
Keon White
low?
season, very high on him still. I'm at an 8. I've always been excited about Keon White. I think he's just waiting for his breakout season, and this is going to be it this season with this new regime, obviously. I think that, Keon White, He's one of the more underrated defensive threats in the league, and I really like him still. I don't think he's regressed at all. I have him at an 8, and yeah.
Okay, so you're a little bit more high on him than I am. I'm going to put Keon White at a 7.
Okay.
Again, I'm being a little bit more conservative than you, but I do expect decent things from Keon White, but it's almost like I want him to show me more. But the potential's there, Brady, to be a
Yeah.
very good player.
Hmm.
I think that's fair. All right, let's move on to a player that I told you I want to talk about some of the players from the Patriots past. They're still there. Here's one, Christian Ellis, high or low?
Yeah. So Christian Ellis, he's around a 6 for me. He's never really, been too impressive on, as a linebacker, but I still think he can be a solid player on the team. He's not really especially a standout, but he can definitely get some tackles. I think he might be overshadowed by the other player who the Patriots brought in, or not the other, but you get what I'm saying, Robert
Yep.
Spillane.
Yep.
But
We'll talk about him
I still
next.
think he's going to be heavily used on the defense. I never really hated him, but I never really been also too fond of him. But I think he's okay. He's going to provide, some stability, returning from the Gerard Mayo defense that wasn't very good, but,
Yeah.
he's still pretty okay in my book. He's a 6.
Okay. You know what? This probably won't happen often, but I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to
Mm,
give him a 6 because what's interesting, Brady, over the years, I would even say many of the Patriots teams and say the first part of the dynasty were just players that you could count on, not exceptional players. Christian Ellis falls into a player that is part of your middle class, not going to be
yeah.
fantastic, but can actually help you. He's that type of player. You need players like Christian Ellis. So I'm going to give him a 6. I'm high on him, not overly high, but I think he's a player that actually helps you. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm glad we're talking about him. But let's talk about a player that I think it's going to help you a lot. I think
Oh, yeah.
a sneaky good player for the Patriots signing is Robert Spillane, Brady. What are your thoughts about him?
Yeah, so this is like my second most favorite signing the Patriots had this offseason. He's a tackle machine, which the
Yep.
Patriots need, and I think they're gonna get that from him. Um, he comes from Vegas, so has a lot of experience with a lot of tough teams, especially in that very tough AFC West division. But I think he's going to be a good middle linebacker threat. I have him at around a 7. I also think this is a little off topic, but his daughter is adorable, and I don't know. That'll kind of light a
Yeah.
fire inside of him, light a fire inside of the Patriots defense. I really like him. I think he's again another underrated piece the Patriots brought in, kind of a under the radar signing that I think is going to really, pay dividends with this team in the future. So that's where I have him.
See, I agree with you, Brittany. I'm going to put this at a 7. I'm high on him for all the reasons you just said. A tackling machine, I think, is important. They definitely need that, especially the type of defense they're going to play. They need a player that's going to help them stop the run and be able to go into those gaps as well, maybe rushing the passer too. Robert
Yeah.
Spillane, I think, is going to be an impact player. Even in the passing game, I expect him to be an impact player. He
Yeah.
might be dropping into coverage, but he might be coming after the quarterback as well. A sneaky, really good signing for the Patriots that I think has flown underneath the radar, Brady. Maybe because of where he came from, but and I agree with you. Looks like a family man. I like that part of him too. It's
Yeah.
about building the culture. This is one of those culture kind of players that I'm glad that Mike Vrabel signed. So I'm
Hmm.
all in on Robert Spillane. Very good signing. All right, Brittany, I'm going to get us started with the next player. I've never been a big Jelani Tavai fan.
Yeah. Me
Okay.
neither.
And obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on with him. If it was me, I'd probably cut Jelani Tavai, but they brought him back, and I'm ready to move on from him. I'm not high on him. In fact, I'm low on him. I'm going to put Jelani Tavai at a 4. I don't even think he's going to make it out of training camp. That's my opinion on Tavai. Where are you on Tavai?
I'm also in agreement. I've never really been a big fan of Jelani Tavai. He's had his moments, but he's been felt like a pretty inconsistent piece of this Patriots defense. And at the end of the day, there's only so many people who can round out, this 53-man roster. And with all these, these regime changes and different scheme changes, he just might not fit in the long run. So I agree. I wouldn't be too surprised if if he's cut in late August, just before week 1. He has like maybe a mediocre preseason, not a great camp. I can really see that happening. Also, the fact that he kind of disrespected the Patriots fan base last year with the
Yep.
whole "do your job" situation. Of course, that definitely wouldn't happen under a coach like Mike Vrabel. Not to throw shade at Gerard Mayo, but I just don't think he's really a great fit for the 2025 New England Patriots defense. And so I agree. I'm not really too high on him either.
Okay. And like I said, I think we're in agreement on Tavai. I don't expect him to make it out of camp. Maybe he will, Brady, but I think he needs to change his attitude under Mike Vrabel because he's not going to want a player that is not on the same page as them.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out really early on with Tavai. So I'll be watching him. All right. Let's now talk about a player that started off as a Belichick player, obviously then went through Gerard Mayo and is still with the team. And someone that, again, I was talking a little bit back about a player that just, I'm going to use that term, does his job. Anthony
Yeah.
Jennings is one of those players, Brady. And I happen to be a fan. Our mutual friend, a very good friend, Steve Balster, has always been a fan of Anthony Jennings.
Mhm.
Now, in this type of defense, he's going to be playing more linebacker, but he might thrive in that. What are your thoughts about Anthony Jennings before I give you my high or low and a rating?
He's a 6 for me. I think he's in the same kind of ballpark as Christian Ellis is, and just a guy who isn't that great, but he can make a play. He does his job. I think he's going to be another solid piece. I've never really hated him. I mean, he's never really had. I mean, besides a couple penalties last year, he's never really had any blunders. I like that they keep him. I think he's going to be pretty solid for the defense this year. And yeah, I have him at a 6.
Okay. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to be a little bit higher on him than you are. I'm going to give it a 6.5. It's pretty close because I know that he can, like I said, do his job. The question is, will that be good enough to make the Patriots? Only time will tell because they are going to need a lot of players to rotate. So I think Anthony Jennings is going to be part of the mix, but I'm not super into him being, say, like a 7 or 8. That's why I'm giving a 6.5. I think that's a fair assessment on him, and you're a little bit lower than me on that. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, Brady. Let's now focus on another part of the defense. Let's get to the secondary. Let's start with the cornerbacks, okay? And then we'll end with safeties. Let's talk
Mhm.
about Carlton Davis, the third. And you and I were talking about former member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Patriots got him after he was with the Lions. Looks like he is going to be set up to be the second cornerback in this defense. I think this is a solid pickup. Before I give you my rating and my high or low, what's yours?
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to give it around a 6.5. I think he was definitely brought in to replace Jonathan Jones, who's on the Patriots for a while, kind of that second corner. I think, he won a Super Bowl with the Bucks. He's experienced. I don't think you can really hate on him that much considering the fact that he's been in the league a while. He, knows how to be on a winning team. And I think he's going to be pretty reliable as a number 2 corner threat behind Christian Gonzalez, and it'll create a pretty good Patriots secondary. I've always, been pretty high on him. I'd give it a 6.5, not quite a 7 because, obviously we haven't seen him play yet. Definitely getting up there in years, but I'm still modestly high on him, I'd say.
Okay. So we're going to disagree a little bit on this, Brady. I'm actually going to put it at a 7.5. I think they targeted Carlton Davis. He has a lot to offer. He has a lot of experience. He's played with two very good teams. And I think he is one of these guys that's going to really help the Patriots into their new generation. We're talking about the show we're doing. I think this is a key component to that. I could go back years ago when the Patriots brought in Tyrone Poole. I know you probably don't know who that is, but that they brought him in the 2003 season, my favorite
Yeah.
Patriots season. I think the best Patriots season. He reminds me of Tyrone Poole. I'm putting it at a 7.5. I'm a little bit higher on him than you are, Brady, but I've got this good feeling about Carlton Davis. Now let's talk about a player that was solid for the Patriots, Brady, but what role does he play in this upcoming season? Alex Austin, a player that, again, you would pretty much call a jag, just a guy. Is he
Mm.
just a guy, Brady? Are you high or low on Alex Austin?
He is just a guy. Yeah, I agree. He's a 4. I swear to God, every time last season when there was an open receiver, it was because of Alex Austin. I don't see him making this team. He's just very whatever. He's very mediocre. He had a couple good plays last year, but overall, he's just a very miscellaneous kind of player you can really put anyone to replace him with. And he doesn't really bring much to the table in terms of, lockdown D and just corner threat. So if he makes the team, fine, but I'm not really that high on him. I don't even think many others are really in the same boat, but yeah.
Okay. I tend to agree with you. I'm going to put it at a 5. Again, I think he will fight for a job, but we'll see if he actually gets one.
Yeah,
But
I don't think he's going to make it out of camp. He's going to be on the practice squad this year.
okay.
Unless there's injuries. He'll
Okay.
definitely come if there's injuries, but yeah.
Okay. Interesting there. All right, Brady. Now let's continue to talk about cornerbacks. And this is, again, a cornerback that number one draft pick, player on the rise. Everyone's talking about Christian Gonzalez. There's a
Yeah.
lot of hype that goes along with him. And again, if you live in the Boston area and you listen to the talk, no matter who it is on the Patriots, I'm talking about from our media, they're going to downplay his
Yeah.
effectiveness. This is what happens here. I'm not going to downplay it, Brady. I'm putting Christian Gonzalez at a potential player to be another Ty Law. I'm putting him, I'm very high on him. He's a 9 for me.
Well, he's a 10 for me. The great Gonzalez, he is probably top 3 corner in the league. He has locked down Tyreek Hill. He's locked down many of the NFL's best receivers. We saw it last year in his first full season in the league. I am super excited to see. He was a second team All Pro last year. I think he's going to be potentially could compete for the best corner in the league. Of course, that doesn't really matter in terms of this team,
Yep.
but he just does such a great job at locking down the number one corner. Aside from a few times last year, especially remember week 2 against Seattle
Yep.
where he was not that great against DK Metcalf, but other than that, he was pretty flawless last year. He had some great interceptions on a team that didn't really have many. And this is, I'd say, the only player that the Patriots have who's like one of the best at their position in the league as of right now, I'd say.
Okay. And like I started, I agree with everything that you just said, Brady. It's just so funny because I've watched really good corners and I've seen some average corners that have been risen up for various reasons. The one that actually stands out to me is because I would say Malcolm Butler is someone that really worked on his game and turned himself into a good cornerback.
Hmm.
This guy's a different level. This is a Ty Law level player.
Well,
I've already
yeah.
said it.
I
It's just
mean,
a different level. I'm talking about talent wise,
yeah.
ability, instincts. He has it all.
Well, if you remember, I
And
mean, big difference between him and Malcolm Butler is Malcolm Butler went undrafted, played at West Alabama.
yeah,
Christian Gonzalez was a first round draft pick from the Oregon Ducks. I mean, huge difference there talent wise, just raw natural talent.
absolutely, Brady. All right. Let's move on to slot corner. And this is a player that I think is going to be important this season. Marcus Jones, your thoughts?
Yeah, he's very special on special teams, but is he that great of a corner? I still think so. He's around a 7 for me. Marcus Jones, while had some, injury concerns in the past, you know, he's had definitely also his fair share of consistency issues. I still like him. He is a 7 for me. I think he's going to have a better season than he had a couple or at least the last couple years. And I've still always been pretty fond of him. So as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to be fine for the Patriots defense.
Okay. Very good there, Brady. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Coming up next, Brady and I will end this episode of Patriots 4th and 2, the new generation, by talking about the safeties. All right, Brady, let's get to it. Again, I'm going to throw at you a player that I don't know gets some criticism. I don't understand it. Maybe it's because he came from a small school, but Kyle
Yep.
Duggar, I think, has really just proven himself in the league. He is someone that I think deserves more credit than he is given.
Super underrated.
Brady, I am going to give him an 8.
Yeah.
I'm very high on Kyle Duggar, regardless of when I hear people criticizing him. I'm like, are you watching the games? He shows up every game. I can't remember too many bad games on a bad Patriots team for the last couple of years. Kyle Duggar has shown up. 8 for me. I'm high on him.
Yeah. He's around a 7.5 for me as well. He's just been pretty consistent. He's of course a huge hitter in the Patriots secondary, and I think he's gonna continue to build on his game that he has in the last couple seasons. Again, on some pretty bad Patriots defenses. Again, not really much else to say. You kind of hit on all the points again. I'm at a 7.5. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there, Brady. All right. It's time to go to another controversial player. Okay. A player that hits a lot, reminds me at times of Rodney Harrison, but there's been a lot going on with him off the field. Brady,
Mm.
I'm going to give you your first crack here. Jabril Peppers. As a player, I'm a fan, but there's some baggage that goes along here. What are your thoughts about Jabril Peppers?
It's hard to give a concrete number on a player that is so unpredictable. Honestly, I can't give you a number. He's a question mark for me. Some weeks he is, he's hitting as hard as he is, and other weeks he is being suspended because he allegedly beat his girlfriend. I I don't know what I can say about him that hasn't already been said. He is a very strong player when he's healthy, when he's on the field. He can be a leader, but there's also some pretty big negatives to him in terms of discipline and just, obviously being on the field and his off the field issues. Honestly, he could also be another cut candidate. I know not really that popular of a take, but with this new Patriots regime, does he fit in the Vrabel scheme? I mean, we'll see in camp, but I can't really give you a number again on a guy who's just so like not concrete and just kind of a complex player to talk about.
Yeah, I understand. I understand why you are a little bit nervous to give a rating, be high or low on him. I'm kind of with you. I will rate him. I wouldn't say that I'm high on him because of we're talking about the baggage that goes along with him. I do believe in second chances, Brady, but this is a difficult one because there's a lot of stuff in his past that just makes me very uncomfortable as a fan and as a person. Okay. But if I'm just judging him as a player, somewhere between a 6 and a 7. But I honestly, like I said, I'm not high or low on him. I'm just going to judge him on what he could bring on the field. But there's a lot off the field that makes me not be too high on this player. And but that's why I think we're both a little bit uncomfortable talking about him. But
Hmm.
if he's on the team, we're going to have to talk about him. So we might as well figure out a way to talk about Jabril Peppers. But there's a lot of stuff going on there. And just not a player that I really want to get to talking about the off the field because it's not good. On
Yeah.
the field, he's a good player, but can you separate the player from the personal off the field stuff? It's difficult, Brady. It really is.
Yeah.
So that's why I understand where you're going on that. I give you credit for taking a stance on that. I really do.
Could be cut.
Could be. He could be. If he doesn't toe the line, you could be 100% correct, Brady.
Yeah,
That's a
and
strong take by
I
you.
would I wouldn't be surprised just because if Mike Vrabel wanted to make a statement,
Yep.
you don't f around in my
No,
organization.
no. I totally understand that, Brady. All right. One other player I want to talk about as a safety. It's funny because it's a draft pick by Belichick, and one of these tweeners. Like, is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? I think he might be a safety. Okay,
Yeah.
a little bit of a reach. Where are you on Marte Mapu?
I'm not really too high on him. He's maybe a 4.5 for me. In my opinion, he hasn't really lived up to the hype that he was given out of Sacramento State. I remember when the Patriots drafted him, there was all this hype that, this was the steal of the draft or he's going to be this next great, two-way player. I I don't really, he hasn't really done much in the league that has really surprised me. In fact, I really don't really have much to say because he hasn't really done much, to be honest. He's been there, he's been on the field, but really hasn't really done anything of note. Just kind of been another guy to fill in for the defense, easily replaceable.
Yep.
Also wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't end up making the team this year.
Okay. All right, Brady. I'm really not that high on him. I'm going to put it at a 5, but there's an opportunity for him to make an impact. It's
He
all
still
on
has
him.
potential.
Has potential, right? So I never give up on players that have potential because I don't think we know what we have with him. There are players that you just, after time, you know what you got. I'm not so sure about Mapu, so I'm putting it at a 5 right in the
Hmm.
middle because he could surprise us and make an impact. I've seen it before, but if I'm being honest, I'm just not sure. Let's see. And I'm just sharing from my friend Chris. Says Mapu needs a good training camp to impress Mike Vrabel, and I agree with that, Chris.
Yep.
By the way, Brady, Chris here is a great guy. Chris actually watches every one of my episodes of Cottage Talk, so he's
That's
now
dedication
watching.
right there.
He's a great guy. Someday, Chris, we will meet in person when I go to England. Maybe we'll both meet him, Brady, if we ever go to England.
Mm.
But Chris is a good guy. Thank you very much for commenting on the show, Chris. All right, Brady, to finish up this show, I guess you could call it a little bit of a bonus topic. Really, it just goes along with what we've been talking about. So, this is what we're going to do. We're still going to do high or low, right? We're
Hmm.
not going to talk about the offensive line. We're putting that aside. I'm going to ask you high or low in general, Patriots offense, and give it a rating.
We're talking about the offense. I'm gonna
Yes.
go. Okay, so I've said this in previous shows, but cautiously optimistic with how everything's been built. I'm way more confident in it than obviously last couple years. If I had to give it a rating,
Yep.
I mean, obviously right now we haven't seen much of it. We don't know what it's really gonna look like just because of all the changes that have been made. Right now, before it proves me wrong, I'm just gonna stick with a 6.
Okay.
Because obviously you have a bunch of young guys. You have Drake May, you got Josh McDaniels. Who knows if that's going to work? It could very well not work, and the Patriots have a very mediocre to bottom third tier of the league offense again. But it also has a lot of upsides
Yep.
with the new players and the new coaches that have come in. Of course, the Patriots brought in Doug Marrone,
Yep.
and they have Josh McDaniels now. Mike Vrabel, who's more of a defensive coach, but still leadership. But again, they got to prove me something before I can really be higher on that rating. If we're at week 6 and the Patriots are averaging 17 points per game, that's not acceptable. This team should be at least in the top 15 for offense for what they're built. Um, they should be averaging around 22 points per game. In fact, you want to know a crazy stat? They
Go
actually
ahead, Brady.
have the longest drought without scoring 30 points in a game. It's been since 2022. Last
Wow.
time the Patriots scored at least 30 points in a game. And, suffice to say, fans are frustrated. They want offense. And I hope we get offense this year.
Yep.
And yeah, I can't be higher than a 6 until they prove me wrong. Maybe we'll do, a little re-rating at like say the midpoint of the season,
Sure.
if the Patriots are doing well. But right now, sticking with the 6.
Okay. And I understand
So
why
many
you
question
did that.
marks.
There are a lot of question marks. But Brady is your father. I'm an optimist, right? So I understand why you went with a 6. I'm going to go just a little bit higher. But I'm basing my rating, I'm not sharing it yet, on Josh McDaniels joining, Doug
Hmm.
Marrone joining, as you said. And I am going to assume, which you should never do, that under these coaches, the offensive line will be better. Drake May will be better. If he improves, I'm putting it at a 7 because I am being optimistic. But I understand why you put it at a 6. Ultimately, I think they're going to be much better than people think. So I'm putting it at a 7. That's where I'm
Hmm.
going. All right. Let's move to the other side of the ball, the defense. So I'll get us started on the defense. Brady, I'm extremely high on the defense. I watched the show a couple days ago, tried to downplay the Patriots defense, saying it's overrated, this and that. Brady, I don't think this is being overrated. I think this defense is going to be very good. I'm
Hmm.
going to be very high on it. Okay. I'm giving it an 8.5.
So you think it's going to be very good, but not top 10 good?
Wow, Brady, you caught me there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. But if I give it an 8.5, that sounds like top 10 good, right? So
Yeah.
so so maybe I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite. Good call
Hmm.
by you. But I am
Yeah.
going to give it an 8.5.
I am in perfect agreement with you. Think an 8.5, while a little high, I think it's justified. Mike Vrabel is now at the helm. Got Terrell Williams from the Detroit Lions. You got a lot of new players, a lot of new faces, a lot of optimism for this Patriots defense. I feel like the media is not really talking about it as much, even though you said people were trying to downplay it, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's barely we haven't seen it in action yet. There's so many new parts, moving pieces that will start to be put together in training camp. But like I said, this team is going to be the defense is going to be very good this year. It's going to be top 10 in the league. It's going to be
Okay.
so much better than it was last year. They're going to be able to stop the run because they got new players who can actually do that. They were one of the worst teams in terms of sacks last year. They got new players to do that. You see the theme right here? They
Yep.
actually went out in free agency and the draft and addressed these, concerns that really plagued the Patriots defense last year. It's an 8.5. I'm very excited for this team and think they're going to do pretty well moving forward.
Okay. So listen, I'm not going to have us rate special teams because I think I want to see that in training camp. I really
Yeah.
don't know enough because I think I need to see it. So we're not going to rate special teams. However, Brady, we're going to rate this coaching staff. So you were basically had the opportunity to see who I still think is the best coach ever, Bill Belichick and his coaching staff over the years growing up. Okay. You got a chance to see that. Then you got a chance to see Gerard Mayo. And Gerard Mayo was a great player for the Patriots and was put in a difficult situation. And I feel bad how it ended for him, but he was just over his head. So you've seen
Hmm.
the high and the low, even though I feel bad for Gerard Mayo because I think he's a good guy and tried his best, but it just was the wrong time to hire Gerard Mayo. Now you're bringing in Mike Vrabel. I've watched Mike Vrabel, Brady, as a player. He looked like a coach on the field 20 years ago. He started his coaching career at Ohio State where he was a player. He coached with the Texans. He's then went on to the Titans. This is a coach that is improving his skills as a coach. All right. Simply
Yeah.
doing that as a coach. He's learning his craft. He's ready to go, Brady. I will just add Josh McDaniels coming back. Great decision. The defensive coordinator coming from, I'm going to call it right now, the Vrabel tree, right? Coming from Vrabel. So there are a lot of things to like. I'll let you rate it first. Give me a rating for the Patriots coaching staff.
My first question is, do you know the name of the Patriots defensive coordinator?
I knew you were going to go there. I'm afraid to say it because I think I'll get it wrong. Give me the name.
Terrell Williams?
Yeah, I was gonna say Tyrone Williams, and I was afraid I
Oh
was say that.
no.
Yep.
Come on. All right. Yeah, people have been saying that this is an all-star coaching staff. I think it's a little soon to say that, but Patriots, Doug Marrone, who is a pretty underrated coach. Of course, he used to coach here. He's back with the Patriots. Of course, we got Jeremy Springer from the Rams, I believe, to be your special teams coordinator. Hopefully, that'll fix all the mistakes that have been on that side of the ball. But I'm pretty high on this Patriots coaching staff, like you are. Around an 8, I think this coaching staff is gonna be the real difference from the real huge difference, I'd say, from last year. The biggest difference that will make this team have like a different identity, and while keeping the same Patriot way, of course, as I've said in previous shows, they're going to be able to modernize this team to a point where it still has some shades of old, but also perfectly balanced with, obviously some new. And I think that's okay for the Patriots going forward. It's needed because the Patriots have refused to modernize their team, obviously with Belichick and now post Belichick. I think this is really when the Patriots do it. I'm around an 8 for the Patriots coaching staff. Way better than it was a year ago.
Totally agree, Brady. Very good. All right. So before we end the show, I want to just mention one more time. We have 3 people that have subscribed on our
Great.
YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like this episode on YouTube. It's going to take a while to build that up, but we're going to keep trying, Brady. We're really going to try to build that up because we really want people to subscribe. So please subscribe, right, Brady? Please
Yeah.
subscribe. Okay. Brady, before we wrap up the show, final thoughts from
Final
you.
thoughts is that this Patriots defense is going to be exciting this year. We have new players, new schemes, new coaches, and a lot of things to look forward to. Just like I said for the offense, this side of the ball is super improved. I think it's in way better hands than it was last year, and it's going to be fun to see where they go. Of course, a year ago, the Patriots, I think, lost a bunch of games because not because of the offense, but because of the
Yep.
defense. They plugged so many holes that they had from last year with the new additions that they made through free agency, the draft, and through coaching. It's going to be a great season for the Patriots defense. I'm calling it right now.
Okay. Brady, I agree with all that. Obviously, I think the Patriots defense is going to be very good. I think this Patriots team it's just so funny living here, Brady. You
It's
and I have
exciting,
talked
isn't
about
it?
this. It's very exciting. Listen, we've had such really bad football for the past 3 or 4
Yeah.
years. And I think it's time to get excited. I don't think it's wrong to be excited about this Patriots team. I don't care what people are saying. I think we have every right to be excited because we could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, the only thing I will say is the future of the Patriots does hinge on, unfortunately, one player, which is Drake May. I think you'll agree with me on that. If Drake May is the real deal, Brady, then we could really be on to something. But it doesn't matter because I think for this particular season that we should be excited. I think we can put that aside about 10 years down the road. Are they going to be a Super Bowl contender in, say, 2 or 3 years? Ultimately, we'll find out because of Drake May, but there are other parts of it that make me excited for this upcoming season. I'm looking forward to it. And I
Yeah.
don't care if anyone is telling you don't be excited for this, tell them to go, you know what, because you should be excited. We're
Hmm.
Patriots fans. We've been through some really bad seasons. I think now we're on the other side of it, Brittany. And that's how I want to end this episode of Patriots 4th and 2, the new generation. Did you enjoy the show?
Of course, yeah. I think
Okay.
we're going to be getting into some new topics, of course, over the
Yep.
next couple of shows. Maybe talk about the schedule. Obviously,
Yep.
training camp is just around the corner, and of course, the season starts in a little over a month or so, but two
Yep.
months. But again, pretty excited to see what we do going forward.
Me too, Brittany. And like we started our first episode, this is our third episode of Patriots 4th and 2, the new generation. And I don't know of any other father and son that talks Patriots in a podcast. I think we're the only one, and I think that's pretty special thing. So I'm really happy that I can continue to do this with you, this journey, this season, and we'll just keep doing shows as long as you and I enjoy it. But I
Hmm.
do want to wrap up this episode. For Brady Goldman, I'm Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Patriots 4th and 2, the new generation.